All
now
right.
it's
On
too
that
far.
note.
Now it's a little too far away.
All right. So
Story of your life.
it's all good. Super Bowl sleeper. The idea of this was last year, the Washington Commanders, they're only picked to have 6.5 wins before the season. You got a rookie quarterback, you got a new coach, you don't expect too much. They made a huge jump. That's kind of what we're looking for here. So even if they're not going to get to the Super Bowl, at least the goal of getting to the championship game. So for me this year, I went my first pick was a team that's right now projected for 6.5 wins. They're in one of the weakest divisions in the NFL, which means it's a Southern division. So for me, I like the Carolina Panthers. Last year, they saw a lot of development in the second half with their quarterback Bryce Young. They have a solid run game in the offseason before. They were able to get a couple of guards to help solidify everything. And this year in the draft, they went out and I think they got the one missing piece that they needed to help their rookie quarterback. They got Tedero McMillan. Everything that I've heard so far, it's just glowing reviews to where he can go up and he can get that ball. He's physical. He can man it off of you. He had fantastic stats last year at University of Arizona and the year before that. And that's really going to help them to escalate the game. The defenses in the division, they're gettable. So this is a situation where they come in a soft division. Dave Canales, I think he's a pretty great offensive-minded head coach. He was the one who helped to resurrect the career of Geno Smith, not the offensive coordinator that the Bears hired last year. Through some analysis. And they also have the fantastic defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero, which he's a great guy. They just had a lot of injuries on the defense, which is why they had a historically bad defense. A lot of the camp news and a lot of the Super Bowl sleepers that people are asking for is, okay, let's look at the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a dynamic offense. All they need is just a bad defense, just not a good defense, just not a terrible, terrible defense. Obviously, this offense isn't that dynamic, but I think that if their defense can be middle of the road, I think they have a strong enough run game, and I think they have enough weapons so that way Carolina might be able to surprise everyone and get 12, 13 wins on the strength of that, or lack thereof, for the strength of that division. Thoughts?
My first thought is I picked the Panthers first, but you can have them. Yeah, I've been on the Panthers bandwagon for months now because I really like what they're able to do in the draft, and I really like I really like Ejiro Evero. I really do. I think their defense is going to be more middle of the road. They could even be even better than that, but like you're saying, injuries last year, I think the Panthers are going to surprise some people, and being in a somewhat bad division helps a lot to surprise people, right? And yes, the Eagles were amazing last year, but the Giants weren't very good. The Cowboys weren't very good, so the Commanders got a few wins there. So yeah, if we're looking for a team like that, I think the Panthers is a great choice, but it's not my choice actually. So I'll go to me next. Doug, do you have any thoughts though before I go?
It's one of those teams that sneaks up on other teams where you don't think they're going to be a challenge and then they're better than you thought or they're tougher than you thought. So I think they can have potentially sneak into the playoffs that way, but where people don't really pay attention at the end of the year. I don't know if they can make a run in the playoffs, but
it's only the NFC.
Yes.
Other than the Bears, who's a juggernaut in the NFC.
Making the playoffs. They definitely could do it. Derek, let's go to your choice for Super Bowl Super Sleeper.
All right, so Super Sleeper for me is actually the Seattle Seahawks because of a couple reasons. I really like their coach. I think he's fantastic. I love the Baltimore system. I love that he's bringing it to their defense. And just looking at their defensive line, Jaron Reed, who used to be a Packer, very good defensive lineman, Byron Murphy out of Texas, who I think is fabulous. I think he's got a few levels to go up before he becomes a Pro Bowl caliber player, but I think he has that in him. Leonard Williams, great player from the Jets, right? Like they got him for a steal. I think he's underrated. DeMarcus Lawrence, they got from the Cowboys. So, I mean, I think DeMarcus Lawrence is a good pass rusher, not a great pass rusher, but when he's got three other really good defensive linemen with him, I think he's going to be effective this year. Ernest Jones, one of the best linebackers in football. He's still fantastic. And then Woolen and Witherspoon on cornerback positions, I think are fantastic. Julian Love's a good safety. And Kobe Bryant is also a good safety. So I think their defense is going to look a lot like the Ravens defense of the past. I think it's going to be very difficult to run against, and they're going to make turnovers and get to you. So I think their defense is potential top 10. I think they're building that culture again. And like I like to talk about, franchises have cultures. I think Seattle's culture should be defense. I think it is defense. I think you use that stadium to your advantage. And I think with their schedule, now everyone's talking about how the Niners have a fourth place schedule. They have an easy schedule. Well, the Seahawks schedule isn't that bad either. If you actually look at it, the Seahawks don't play a lot of the really good teams, right? They don't play the Eagles. They don't play the Chiefs. They don't play the Bills. They don't play the Ravens, right? You know, they got teams like the Commanders on there. Sure, the Buccaneers are on there. Obviously, they play their own division, but they also play the Titans. They also play the Vikings. They also play the Falcons, the Colts, you know, the Panthers. So teams that maybe it could be good, maybe could be bad this year, but they don't play any of the like Titans. Do you know what I mean? Their schedule's not bad. So I really think I think the Seahawks are winning that division. I've already called it, but a lot of the bet stuff out there has them at like 6, 7, sometimes 8 wins. You know, you got Sam Darnold coming in. Yes, he doesn't have a good offensive line. Yes, he turns into a bit of a mess when he doesn't have an offensive line, but they got a good run game, right? And he's got Cooper Kupp and JSN, two of the most solid, if not very explosive, but solid wide receivers out there, right? And Dave's fantasy hero, Horton, is also on the team. So I really think their offense is going to be good enough to win close games, and that's all you need to do if their defense takes a step. So my pick is the Seattle Seahawks to surprise some people and make a deep playoff run. And yes, I am banking on Sam Darnold, which I can't even believe, but you know what, dude? He played great in San Francisco when he stepped in. He played great last year with the Vikings. I mean, way better than any of us thought.
Both of you guys, especially Seattle, makes sense. Like Seattle last year looked like a team on the rise where you're like, you kind of might now want to play them in their defense. Like if you make a few mistakes or turnovers, you might lose to the Seahawks because their defense is pretty good.
Right.
You add in Sam Darnold and some more offensive weaponry, and now it's becoming a little bit scary to play against them. Oh, they might not be a cakewalk.
Yep. And dude, I gotta say, I like the fact that they, you know, traded away, Aaron Rodgers' best friend. You know, like I honestly think their offense is going to be better now. I do. I legitimately think their offense is going to be better. I'm not a Geno Smith fan. And I think, I think Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet are two very, very good running backs who always seem to be hurt. So, they'd obviously have to be healthy this year, but I mean, I would not be surprised.
They got Damian Martinez to come in as their third running back.
That's my rookie sleeper. If those two get hurt, I think Damian Martinez is highly underrated out of Miami. I think he got kind of lost in the shuffle of the Cam Ward, lights and show. But Damian Martinez, I think, is a really good running back, and I think he's going to get some play. So we'll see how that goes. But I think
they also got his teammate out of Miami, Elijah Araujo, at tight end.
Another guy that out of Miami that maybe is a little slow, maybe not explosive, but like sure hands, which is what you want out of a tight end, and maybe underrated as well. So no, and tight end is maybe their weakest position because they got AJ Barner and Araujo there, who's a rookie. But I think Sam Darnold is going to work fine with JSN, Cooper Kupp. And here's the other reason, guys. This is a secret. Okay. The Seahawks picked up MVS. Do you know that MVS has been to the damn championship game every fucking year of his career?
Oh, Jesus. Ace.
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
With the Packers and then with the Chiefs. Yeah. So, like, that dude just picks teams that go to championship games, man, and now he's on the Seahawks. So look out, everybody. Look out for MVS to drop a ball in the championship game. All right, Doug, your turn.
I have a real super sleeper here. Like, this is the thing when you want to do a parlay and just put down, like, $20, for this team to win, and, like, Brock Bowers to, like, catch 100 passes and whatever, like a super parlay. Turn that $40 into like 10 grand, my choice. It might not make as much sense as your guys's. Okay. But because they're really young and crazy, but that's kind of what this team is about. Like the Las Vegas Raiders, they drafted Dante Thornton, who's a crazy speedster, who's going to apparently start for them already. They also got Jack Beach or Beck, who's like a really like underdog favorite out of the draft. And then, of course, they got like Ashton Genty and to pair with Brock Bowers. And they also got on defense Darian Porter, who's a lot of people's one of the favorite players in the draft, super fast guys. Like if the olden day Raiders from the 80s and 90s are still around, they would be very happy about the speed and athleticism on this team. But I think Brock Bowers is going to be like a Hall of Fame tight end. And so they got somebody just as a go-to guy. I mean, these guys are set up to just cause mayhem, do crazy stuff on defense, have just tons of speed. And Pete Carroll's there now to maybe actually inject some sort of like organization and direction to this team, right? Like he's an overzealous, crazy guy. That his personality might fit this team perfectly. You know what I mean? Remember when he was winning championships at USC with like paying people off,
Cheating,
all
yeah.
his talent?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, he's in Vegas
wild
now,
stuff.
so like, you know, yeah, gambling and cheating. is
I mean,
kinda
if
like a
anybody
right
can
up
get
alley.
a team like this to believe in themselves and just like start scoring points, maybe it's him. Maybe this is maybe this is where Pete Carroll is meant to be.
No, I like that they double tapped offensive tackle in the third round.
They did. I was going to mention that too. They got their offensive tackles. This might be a huge, and maybe not this year, but this might be a huge revamp year for them. And Geno Smith at quarterback might not be their long-term quarterback, maybe, but he'll be stable for now. But look do you remember what Pete Carroll did when he went to Seattle? Right? They had what's his name? They paid a ton of money from the Packers. They brought over, and then Russell Wilson took his job, and they went to Super Bowls.
Yeah, and he got Marshawn Lynch off. Where was Marshawn? Like Tennessee
Buffalo.
or something? Buffalo, that's right.
And the
He
Packers didn't want
They
him.
cut him. Yeah, they cut Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch didn't have a job, and then Pete Carroll called him up from USC, and Marshawn Lynch turned into like, you know, world famous Marshawn Lynch. So, like, dude, Pete Carroll's a very good coach and a very good cheater. And honestly, again, the Raiders had, we thought, the best draft out of any team in the NFL.
Yeah.
We thought the Raiders had the best draft. So, like, getting Geno in, who I'm not a Geno fan, but Geno is a step above everything they've had for the last couple years, right? You know, I love Gardner Minshew, but sorry, bro. I mean, Jimmy G, don't even get me started.
They also have Jeremy Chin on the team, who's really good, and they got Eric Stokes.
I like Jeremy Chin. Yeah,
good.
I think he's an underrated safety. I like Jeremy Chin. No, dude, the Raiders are set to make a big step. I think a lot of people aren't picking them, Doug, because they're in the hardest division in football.
They are.
But could you imagine?
Easier than the other teams. So
I was going to say, so let's say they win the easier games, though. Can you imagine if they go like 4-2 in their division games or something and end up winning that division? People would lose their mind. They would lose their mind because there's people picking the Chargers to go, the Broncos to go, of course, the Chiefs.
All those teams are going to beat each other up, and the Raiders are just going to party their ways into the playoffs, baby.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
the Raiders just got to
sneak. Obsessed with the Chiefs. They're so worried about them.
No one's paying attention.
The Raiders
to the
have no cares in the world. They're just going to play football.
Yeah, Chip Kelly can go back to being a mad scientist with having Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, using those two however the hell he wants.
They have a lot of speed and athleticism.
Oh, yeah. And Jack Besh, one of his strengths was actually blocking downfield.
Yeah,
a lot of the times